Shocking video shows vagrant being choked to death on New York City subway. Vagrant. Whenever I hear that term, when they're referencing human beings, I immediately know. The New York Times is using passive voice reporting on a vigilante choking out a homeless guy. Yeah, because remember what I told you? That, like, it's not just the cops that have lethal capabilities now. It's every average American. Like, the average American, especially on depending on who their victim is, also has the same level of lack of accountability. The same lack of accountability that the average cop has when it comes to killing people, especially if it's an unhoused person. If it's a human being that is homeless, then, you know, that's how it works. I don't want to show you the footage of it, but a homeless black man, Jordan Neely, who was 30 years old, was screaming that he was hungry, had no food, threw his jacket down on the train, and the blonde guy decided to choke him for 15 minutes for no reason. EMS could not revive Neely. No charges have been filed. And the passengers on the train, including the person shooting the video, said the man did not physically attack anyone before he was taken down. Jordan Neely was homeless, tired, suffering, hungry, and unable to defend himself from a violent chokehold which led to his death. His murderer walked out of the police station with no charges. The New York Post is sanitizing white murderers and turning them into good Samaritans. Now, here's the thing. Per ABC7, the 24-year-old Marine who had 2 deployments and knows some MMA moves admitted to the police that he wasn't threatened by Jordan Neely, but he came up from behind him and put him in a chokehold for 15 minutes. Okay? Video shows a strap hanger. What is a strap hanger? Dramatic new video shows a strap hanger taking matters into his own hands, pinning down an unhinged man in a deadly incident on a Manhattan subway station this week. A subway rider is called a strap hanger? I had never heard that before. Adam Server with a rare good take? No, Adam Server actually does have really good takes on certain issues. If a homeless man makes me uncomfortable, the sentence is death is the kind of public argument that people should be embarrassed to make in public, except no, they're not. I saw a guy overdose on the train last week. A homeless guy on the subway tried to attack my wife on her way to work just a few months ago, thrusting a pointed umbrella at her. There was no one around. There's obvious social disillusion going on, and no one seems to know what to do. You're going to be sanctimonious when people start defending themselves and others, no matter how ill-advised. So, here's the problem, okay? I don't know if those stories are fake. But it's a very common experience, okay? Because we have decided that, we are going to make the housing market unmanageable, and we are not going to provide any solutions to people who are literally living outdoors and braving the fucking elements for years on end, and that trauma and the assault and the sexual harassment that happens to them, and the possible drug usage that you engage in an effort to self-medicate that fries your fucking brain over the course of many, many years, basically turns you into a walking, living, breathing fucking zombie, and then the government doesn't do anything to interfere in the process other than violent police action, and even then, that's not always the fucking case, right? Which is not necessarily a bad thing that that's not always the case, that it doesn't happen regularly. Like, intervention happens not often, but when it does, it's incredibly violent, okay? So do not misunderstand what I'm saying here, okay? And then we are just leaving matters into the hands of random fucking vigilantes. It's great. Wonderful. Very cool. This is going to keep happening. It's going to happen more frequently, as a matter of fact. And yeah, what's the expectation here? Now, having said this, is it also normal? Is it normal and good and perfectly reasonable to just I don't know, have to constantly, especially if you're a smaller person, You know what I mean? Or, someone who does not have the capability to defend themselves, someone that's not very confident in their physical ability to like literally sit there and be like, okay, I don't know if I have to fucking dodge someone who's like screaming at me who might like actually fucking assault me. No, of course not. I'm sorry. That is not normal. Okay? It's not normal. The government has to do something about it. That's why we fucking pay taxes, man. That's why. It's ridiculous that we have criminalized homeless people. We have criminalized existence in this goddamn country. We do nothing to solve it. And then we just like basically leave matters into the hands of the people. And because the cops are also fucking dog shit at their jobs in general too, and only engage in like incredibly violent fucking ways, and usually not at all because, their feelings are hurt, I think, or something, or they're not getting paid enough. Like $8 million a day is not enough for the LAPD as far as funds goes. You know what I mean? That like now people are just going, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. Okay? Great. Awesome. Now the Manhattan DA's office is investigating after Jordan Neely dies following a subway chokehold incident. It's like, brother, why are you talking like a cop did this? You want to know why? That's deliberate. That's by design. Because cops are doing the blue flu shit. So now it's like up to the fucking citizens to also enact in the same exact violent, psychotic fucking ways. Okay? So now the media is doing the same fucking defense for like random vigilante people, as long as like the victims are black and homeless, that they would have done for the cops.
Try to explain to people that what I find so
here's Olayemi's take on
incredibly frustrating about New York City is that it paints itself like it's this big, diverse, progressive city. Like, oh, it's a blue state. Oh, the liberals. Meanwhile, I have never seen the level of disparity and dehumanization between different populations of people in my life. Like, just think about this. And this is something I know as both just a...
Same goes for California, too. Los Angeles is the same way with their mistreatment of homeless people. Like, they're fucking... not human beings. Okay? Part of that is because the media is constantly fucking hamming on this narrative. Another part of that is, and people get fucking mad at me sometimes when I mention this, but another part of that is because, like, yeah, if you're living in a fucking big city and you're constantly seeing people on the sidewalk just like roll up on you and fucking yell at you and shit, I avoid it. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm a big fucking dude. I get why some people might be scared. I mean, look, for me in particular, I've talked about this before. There's a dude that loves jerking off, okay? There's a dude that literally loves jerking off, whipping his cock out and masturbating furiously, okay? For me, it's whatever. What the fuck's he gonna do? You know what I mean? I just, when I'm walking around my house, it's one thing. But I also don't feel all that safe if it's my mom walking around. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, stop making a joke about gooning or whatever. In a normal society, okay, that person should be getting the proper one. That person should be jerking off in a house and not outside in a fucking sidewalk. And in a normal society, that person would be getting help for the very clear, obvious mental disabilities that he has, like the litany of fucking mental disabilities he has. That dude also tries to literally fucking break into my house, okay? Every now and then. I know. It's in front of my house. Yeah, I know. He will randomly at like 6 a.m. show up on my fucking cameras trying to break into the house. I don't know what he's going to do if he breaks into the house. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. I can deal with it on my own. But like, it's just like, it's not good that this is happening. It's not. It is an abject failure of the systems that we exist under, that like a dude is doing this shit. Okay? My immediate solution to this problem, of course, isn't like kill the guy or isn't like call the police so they come and kill the guy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to outsource the violence of the police force. But the reality is that like this is are you making this up? You think I'm making this up? Do you live in fucking Ohio, in bumfuck Ohio, where you don't have any neighbors? No, man. Of course I'm not making this shit up. Are you fucking stupid? One, I've talked about this before. And two, literally, like, This is a very normal thing that happens in cities all the fucking time now. If you live in a fucking big city, you're going to have dudes jerking off, okay? It's not as bad or as psychotic or as dangerous as the way that, like, dumbasses fucking make it seem, like when they live in red states, especially when they make it seem like, you know, the outside of my fucking house is like goddamn war zone or whatever. You know what I mean? They always do that. They always make it seem like, you know, people are getting fucking stabbed left and right. No, stabbings do happen. Of course it happens. You know, it's a part of living in in a big, dense urban environment. You know what I mean? It's not a fucking battlefield. And you learn how to deal with it, except you shouldn't have to deal with it. And especially when, it's not great when things do end up becoming a very real problem. Okay? But that's pretty bad. I mean, I think objectively speaking, that's pretty bad. In a normal society, that person will be getting the fucking help he needs. Okay? We don't live in a normal society, though. So when that shit is happening and you see it in the media all the fucking time, no matter how woke you are, no matter how liberal you are, okay, and plenty of people claim that they're liberal, but they're not really even liberal when it comes to this kind of thing, they get like incredibly fucking violent. And I've heard liberals say the most like blood-boiling shit as it pertains to like homeless people, calling them fucking vagrants and all this shit. Why don't you help this guy then? Are you fucking stupid? Am I a professional? Do you think I have any professional capabilities of like helping out a person who is trying to masturbate furiously? Are you fucking dumb? The expectation should not be placed upon random fucking citizens to be like, all right, I guess I'm a social worker now. Let me go fucking help him, get his nut off. But you got money. Bro, what do you mean? Do I throw money at him? What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. The only thing that a rich person in that regard could do is literally call the cops. And I don't do it because I don't want the fuck cops to come and kill him, okay? You fucking idiot. Shut the fuck up. That's what happens. There's no like, oh, let me call a fucking social worker up and like come help out. Like let me fucking dial a social worker immediately. There's no like situation where I can do that. I mean, nothing wrong with donating to the right groups, though. I do that. It doesn't matter, okay? There is no right group that is like, help exclusively the homeless people outside of Hassan's house fund, okay? That's not a thing. I do that already. Shut the fuck up. And guess what, dude? And this is you and your dad too. Probably if you have takes like this, you're probably not old enough yet. But you and your family members already are throwing money at the problem. It's just that money is never reaching the point where it would actually help alleviate that problem. It just goes directly into the fucking pockets of cops. So, do you understand? Do you get it? Like, I already pay more than you would ever fucking be expected to pay for the rest of your goddamn life with respect to, dealing with these issues. I wanted to go to housing measures, which I vote for, okay, in ballot measures that I vote for and advocate for and push for, okay, as a political commentator. But the unfortunate reality is that it doesn't go there. It never ends up in that regard. And again, you're forgetting that the main point of contention here is that this is a systemic problem. It's not supposed to be dealt with by individuals, okay? That's the issue. It's not supposed to be dealt with by like random individuals who are feeling kind in that moment or feeling insanely violent in that moment and express their violent desires and urges in the way that this guy did. Okay? Whenever we talk about systemic solutions to systemic failures, every Americanoid turns around and goes, individually fix it. Individually fix the systems. What the fuck's wrong with you? Individually do your part, dumbass. Like, I already do my part and then some. I both do my part in the form of taxes that I pay. I also do my part in the form of mutual aid and charities that I also give money to. I do my part a million times over, but there's so much you can do as an individual, which is why I always say charity is only a Band-Aid solution. Mutual aid is only a Band-Aid solution. Okay? It is such a weird fucking argument to engage in, to be like, dude, why aren't you personally housing every homeless person? And the less we fucking deal with it, and the more we got like stupid people going, dude, what do you mean? Like, there are two sides of this story, as there is in every fucking story, but this one is especially frustrating because anytime something like this pops off on like Twitter or anywhere else, you have the one side that's like, they need to be executed, okay? Fucking melt them in the biomatter. And then you have the other side that's like, what? You have a problem with someone doing crack on a fucking subway? On the subway? You have a problem with someone fucking yelling or hurling a doo-doo caca? Fuck you, dude. Life in the big city, baby. It's like, no. Like, that's insane. The expectation that, like, you know, that is normal is insane. You sound like an insane person. I suspect you are not living in a big city if you say shit like that. It's like two sides of this, not the same coin, because one is at least like on a more like moral, on a more like empathetic fucking ground, but you know, it's still fucked up. It's insane. Motherfuckers are like, I hate sex offenders, unless they're like literally homeless, in which case then that's okay, you know? Come on. I have empathy. And I want to do the right thing.
Black person running around New York and as a public defender. You will get arrested at the subway station if they perceive you as jumping through the turnstile, annoying somebody on the train. Like, look at the way that they characterize a homeless man with mental health issues because he is acting erratic. That justifies somebody murdering him. Meanwhile, you as a black person couldn't so much as jump on that train for free and let NYPD see you without being arrested. Same subway stations where they
Who on the left is saying let them throw their poop around Lamau? I mean, dude, you haven't. I mean, these are outspoken Twitter users, which are like irrelevant in the greater point of contention, which is why I rarely ever mention it. But are you fucking joking? If you've been on Twitter, there's hella anarchists. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's so many like shit libs, rad libs, anarchists that are extremely online and never go outside. So they always like. They always behave like that's like normal. You know what I mean? Anyway.
They put 1,000 new police officers in the subway station to harass and terrorize the homeless people. Then, once they took them out the subway, they put more police officers on the street to tear up their encampments and harass them there, right? These are the subway stations where homeless people can't even be seen. They can't even stand, talk, do regular, lay down on the subway without being harassed by NYPD. But a white person could walk into that subway station, get on that subway train, and put a black man in a chokehold for 15 minutes and kill him and walk past NYPD and go home and have the New York Post and the New York Times.
You know what's crazy about it? If a cop did that, that cop would not be as celebrated, I think. Because like the expectation is that they're trained to the expectation, which is not the reality, is that like he's supposed to be fucking trained. So like doing that is like completely fucking unhinged, right? Like, sure, there will still be people celebrating it. People going, oh, dude, that's awesome. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is a vagrant that was dealt with, obviously. But because it's a human vigilante, like a normie, a civilian, people are like, oh, I wish that was me in that situation, because that same thing happens whenever I talk about like issues that pertain to like existing in public spaces, and chat chirps about like their own personal PTSD that they have. Everyone has like, if they lived in a big city, or even if they didn't live in a fucking big city, if they are perceiving what a big city looks like, and how fucking violent and how crazy it is, they have this like built-in trauma response where they're not thinking about the individual that, or the confines of that actual incident where like someone was choked to death for 15 fucking minutes. They're thinking about like what they would do in a situation like where they believe that someone is like harassing them or terrifying them. Okay?
And everybody celebrated. This is the same city where black people, where homeless people